Hello, welcome to another episode of the Pretty Huge Dilemma podcast. I am your host, Jacob Barrett. Today, a lot going on, a lot of busy couple of days, recording podcasts when I can, and going to get it out to the people. Last podcast released it a little earlier in the morning. Released it in the morning, scheduled it to go out then, slightly different than before, being at night, seeing if there's a difference in the views. One time's better than the other, but get picked up in the algorithm at different times. Trying different things out, not restricted to just releasing the podcast on one day, able to release on different days. And I might try it out different days. It was still on Thursday. Maybe one week I'll try it on Wednesday, maybe a Friday, maybe a Saturday. Who knows? Gonna test it out. But the reason I did that is because I went to St. Louis for 30 hours. I went to St. Louis and gonna recap that trip. I think my trip was okay. Went to the trip just me and my wife and I, whichever one makes you happy, whichever way you put that. So it's going to go through that trip, talk about different things that happened, different experiences we did, went through what was worth it, what wasn't worth it. So it's a travel podcast, doing that. And yeah, I'm going to go through that. Maybe I'll stitch in some pictures here or over here. I don't know. I'll put them somewhere because I noticed on the last couple of podcasts it's been kind of slanted in one direction where I've just been on one side of the screen and the other side's pretty empty and not as much going on there, but that's okay. I don't have an exact spot where I put the camera. It kind of moves around. So Thursday, flew out early, scheduled things. Kind of had an issue with the scheduling because I noticed on one of the videos that I posted I had the wrong caption on the bottom of it, and I didn't have the original videos. The original videos were on my laptop. So I was stressing out a little bit before the flight because the videos were posted right as we were taking off. So I was going through making sure the right videos were on. Then as I was watching a video, I saw that the caption and the video didn't line up with each other, and I didn't have it correct for one of those videos. As a result, I had to cancel the scheduled post for a couple of them and then get a copy of the video, which is difficult because I noticed you can't download videos from a Twitter post. You have to have the premium membership, which again, I don't know why there's so many things behind the paywall for that. I think it would be a normal thing for me to download my own video, but there's difficulty for that. But I was able to get a copy of the video. Then I just cropped out the wrong caption, posted that. It wasn't the best looking thing, but put it out there. Got it posted, thankfully in time. Thankfully the takeoff wasn't right away, but I had the first flight. First flight did have TVs on the back, so I guess those are still a thing. I didn't watch it, just put it on the flight tracker because I didn't have the right headphones to plug into there. I just have the lightning connection, not the, I don't know what it's called, the headphone audio jack. I think it's like, I don't know the name of it, 8.4 millimeter, whatever the circular one is. I didn't have that to put in there, so I didn't watch anything. I didn't log into the to the in-flight stuff. I just flew. I think I fell asleep. I don't know if I did typically do that. I think I was in the middle as well. Not my favorite. Pretty far near the back. The boarding group we were on, some people don't know how high the boarding group numbers go to because they're on the flight in the earlier groups. They're in the 1, 2, or 3. Well, the boarding groups go up to 9, and that is the boarding group we were in. Didn't have any issues with that. We didn't have issues with overhead space because we were there for so long, and we only had backpacks with us. So we didn't need any of the overhead space. We just needed the backpacks in the seat in front of us, which I don't like putting my backpack underneath the seat because I like putting my feet out there instead. I just like having it propped up against the seat. For whatever reason, the flight attendants like to say put it underneath the seat in front of you, which there's not really a difference. The only thing I could think of was if the flight flipped over, turbulence started going up and down, going crazy, the bag's not secured. Well, if that's happening, we got a lot bigger issues than my bag underneath me. If I can't hold there are a lot bigger issues than that, lady. So don't worry about where my bag's at. I got it under control. We got there, landed, which this will be a thing throughout the trip. When we took the Uber to the airport, what vehicle was it? I don't know. One of the Ubers, we had another electric vehicle. It wasn't a Tesla. It was some other make of vehicle, which this might just be, maybe I'm not storytelling this the best because it's not in chronicle order and I'm jumping around. But we did take an Uber. And Ubers, are they getting more expensive now? Are they improving the quality of the car so that they can charge more? Recently that's been happening to me. They've been nicer cars, a little more expensive prices. Is that going together? There's something Uber isn't telling us where they're increasing the how nice their cars are that can take people. And I also noticed in the app it doesn't always choose the cheapest Uber X option. Because when I was scheduling some Ubers, it wouldn't be the Uber X chosen. It would be choose the comfort option, choose this other option that's slightly more expensive. So I don't know why it's going through that, because then I have to scroll down and actually look through and compare the prices. See, okay, Uber X, that's the one I want. That's just the basic, no frills, get me from point A to point B, nearest driver, go. I don't know what Uber's trying to pull over our eyes. Be aware of that when scheduling an Uber trip. I should probably point the microphone towards me. Maybe that'll pick it up better. But maybe that'll make it too loud. Yeah, I don't know when they started doing that. I just recently noticed on this trip. Now I'm thinking in the back of my head, has this happened another time? Have I not paid attention and accidentally scheduled the comfort? Is that why I'm getting these nicer cars? That could definitely be the case. So we got to St. Louis, and we didn't have a car. There is a metro type line there, but where we were going, we would take the metro. Then it'd be like a mile walk to the place. So the first place we went to was the St. Louis Zoo. St. Louis Zoo, free to go to. Nearest metro, it was about a 1.5 mile walk from there. We thought, if we're only here for 2 days, day and a half, then if we waited around for a metro ride for an hour, then had to walk a 1.5 miles, then we're tired when we get to the place, we're just going to pay whatever and just get there as fast as we can. So we took the Uber there to the zoo. Zoo, very cool. Again, free in their Forest Park area. Didn't walk around the Forest Park area, didn't have time for that. But we went to the zoo, saw a wide variety of animals. I didn't get pictures of all of them. It's okay. This is kind of the first trip where I thought about taking more pictures, which maybe that's a good thing for the podcast, because before I wouldn't take many pictures, just my memories. Then if I get some neurodegenerative disease, I not say almost any letters or syllables in that word properly. But when I get some mental disease and I start losing my memory, then that's when God intended for me to lose that memory. Which, man, yeah, so the main thread of this podcast will be the St. Louis trip, but there are some offshoots that I thought of that will go along with some of the stories. So I think that's a good thing. So some of those memories, when they're gone, which that happened to me yesterday. Yesterday I was going through the social media, just hanging out here watching TV. Go to Facebook. Facebook loves showing memories on there. That's the app where, yeah. Snapchat loves showing memories. Facebook loves showing memories. Instagram, Twitter, not so much. Facebook went on there, and a picture came up. I had no idea that I lived that experience. It was a picture of me at a formal for sorority when I think I was a freshman in college. It came up. I did not remember this event at all. Said it was a post that someone else posted. I was tagged in it. It came up, and I thought to myself, I have no recollection of this event in any way. If someone would have asked me, have you gone to an event like this before? I would have said 100% no, not a chance. But I guess I did. Now I'm starting to think about it more. Think about who also was tagged in the photo, who was in the photo. And I'm slightly starting to remember what the event was, but for whatever reason, there's no memory of the event at all. And that's kind of what I thought of on vacations. I would just live there, be in the moment, not take many pictures. On the other hand, though, trying to grow the podcast, trying to make a PhD TV episode dose, episode 2, maybe I need some more photos and videos to put in there. So if you see some of the photos that I put in here also on an Instagram reel, be cool about it. It's okay. Won't hurt putting the same pictures in multiple places because some people might see it in the podcast, others might see it just on the reel. It's okay. It can be both in the same places. So I took more photos of that, but I didn't think about it right away. It took me till we were near the end to get more photos of the animals. But that's okay. I got a couple and it's enough, so you get the idea of it. We had a wide variety. They had a grizzly bear, and it was also kind of cool there. It wasn't hot out. Sun was being down. It wasn't super cold. So some of the animals were out and about. That was cool. There was a grizzly bear, a polar bear. Polar bear was having so much fun going in and out the water, bumping up against the glass, seeing the people by it. That was cool to see. Saw some penguins, which I realized seeing penguins in multiple places, how much they smell. Which, I think they're so cute. They do this waddling. Oh, they're so cute. Well, smelly area to do that. Then we saw some bulls, some longhorns, saw tigers. I don't think there were any lions. I didn't see any of those. Saw some chimpanzees, orangutans. Saw the majestic donkey. Saw multiple different kinds of gazelles there. Didn't see any sea otters. Then in there, the insects part of that skipped. Don't need to go in the insects. Went to the snakes area, snakes and frogs, but I could have skipped that. It wasn't interesting. Those kind of things, when they're in a zoo, I can skip over them. If it's behind the glass in those enclosed areas, I don't need to be in there. The birds, we saw those. Didn't intend to, just kind of saw them along the path, which learned later that bird enclosure was part of the World's Fair that happened in St. Louis in 1906. I think that's when they said the World's Fair was. So, I don't know. I guess that's a cool part of history, birds, but I didn't really need to go see them either. What other animals were there? Kind of your basic, well, not basic ones, because they had them from all over the area. But those were the cool ones. Elephants, I think they are doing a lot of construction there. Someone told me they're trying to make it into a national zoo. So they got to do a lot of renovations, make it bigger, make a big museum building. Some of the animals weren't there. There were no rhinos there, which I was looking forward to seeing those, seeing if they cut off the nose of it. Is that called a tusk? So I know an elephant, though, the bones coming out are called tusks. But I don't know. Just a rhino's horn, just its horn. That wasn't there. It's unfortunate. It would have been cool to see that. Saw some hippos. Hippos were just chilling all right next to each other, as you can see in this photo. We started there, went to the zoo. Then we started getting hungry. Well, let me pause for a second. Anything else in the zoo of note? So many kids there. Learned later that it was spring break, which slightly confused me because how can you just say, oh, it's spring break for the entire city? There are so many elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, colleges. How can someone say entirely it's spring break? Because you also have two different states. You have Illinois, you have Missouri right next to each other. So it's hard to say for the entire area it's spring break. There were a number of kids there, which I'm starting to not be as surprised as that because parents just take their kids out. They take their kids out of school whenever convenient for them. School's kind of optional. So it's starting to not be as surprised when that happens. That I don't even know what. Oh, Uber. Sorry, not be as surprised for that. So then we took another Uber to a place to eat. We went to Pappy's Smokehouse, which I wanted to try a my Missouri type barbecue. So I think St. Louis and Kansas City have the same kind of barbecue. Because I know Kansas City barbecue is the thing. I don't know if St. Louis barbecue is. I assume they're like the same kind. Because the different kinds, there's the North Carolina, the Texas. I don't know if Tennessee has a different kind. And also I'm not well versed enough to know what the difference is. North Carolina, I think, is supposed to be more vinegar based. But not too informed on that. But I wanted to try a local place for that. And Pappy Smokehouse was recommended to me by someone I work with. So went there. We stood in line like we were going to eat in the restaurant, but it was getting too long. We didn't want to wait anymore, so we just did the carry out instead. Then when we got the carry out, we realized the place in line, they let the entire area inside eat, get served, order, not in that order. Then they all leave at whatever times, which somewhat made sense to me as we were standing in line because we kept seeing people come out. You'd see groups of people, 3 or 4, see families come out, but no one was going in. I didn't know why that was because it didn't seem the going in was equal to the going out. The mass flow rate between the areas was not equal to each other. What gives with that? We also did the carry out because we were outside, and I knew initially when we got there, thought to myself, there's definitely an inside portion of this place. So we might be outside waiting in this, we know this amount of line, but there could be a whole just as long line inside. So we did the carry out. I got the 2 meats, the brisket, and the pulled pork. Got sweet potato fries, ordered baked beans, got green beans. Oh well, happens. Then the barbecues, they're original and they had a sweet. I wish I would have gotten the spicy barbecue sauce at a restaurant like that. I don't think it's too spicy. I also was tempted to get, there was an Atom bomb, which they said was to, not in reverence, because I think in reverence means the person died. In honor of, does honor of mean the person's dead as well? In memory of, that means they're definitely dead. In perpetuity, I don't know what perpetuity means. They named it after Adam Richman from Man vs. Food, which growing up, did watch a lot of his shows growing up. But because it was just the two of us, because it was just me and my wife, we decided not to get that. Next time I go, when I go, maybe with more people, because it's a pretty cool city, pretty laid back, not much happening. But that's jumping to the conclusion. But I need to pepper that in, because my teacher I had for English class in college called rhetoric. I don't know what rhetoric means, why they didn't just say like writing or whatever, some English thing. Something he told us when we were writing our paper was, don't save this big aha, this big bomb of information till the end. Why not put it at the beginning and then have everything from that supporting that? Instead of a movie having climax at the end, don't have it like that. Try putting that at the beginning and then have everything off of that. Which maybe reading and writing persuasive essays is different than that, but it happens. So peppering in that conclusion. But when we had the Pappies, it was about 2 miles from, was it 2 miles? Mile and a half, 2 miles from our hotel. We didn't really want to get an Uber again because that might have seemed kind of wasteful, not worth the trip. Because we are two people who can walk that distance without much issue for us. So we decided just to walk the area, see more of the city as well, walking, which St. Louis, some part of the cities you don't want to see. We also might have been able to take their metro line, which that was a question I had. Is it called the metro? Is it called the subway? What's the difference? Above ground, underground? What's it called for it? But we might have been able to take the metro, but there was no way I was taking this hot food on to this metro. I'm perfectly able to walk. Metro, probably not clean, probably have to wait for it anyway, so let's just walk. Then it was kind of overcast. Rain was in the forecast. We thought we might get back before it started raining. It was kind of sprinkling, but we did not make it. It was not downpouring, but it was definitely raining. Thankfully, the food was staying dry in the bag we had and in the plastic containers they gave us. So that wasn't too much of an issue, but shirt, shorts, shoes, a lot of rain. Backpack was getting wet. Thankfully, the clothes inside of it were staying dry because I think it's kind of a hiking backpack. So clothes inside of it were staying dry, but got kind of not in the best mood walking during that because who does get in a good mood walking when you're hungry, you're carrying the food, you got to get ready because the pregame celebrations were also starting to happen. They were having Hall of Famers at this area. They were having the Clydesdale walking at this area. They were having the first pitch stuff at this time. So we kind of wanted to get going to that. And then it started raining. Saw one person trying to do a man on the street kind of thing, asking about, which I heard 2 sentences of what position does this guy play? I didn't even hear the guy. So there was someone trying to do that. I think he had a very similar microphone to what I have, but they all kind of look the same. We did that, got to the hotel. Hotel, nice to stay at. We did an early check-in at 1 o'clock. Then we went up to our room, changed out of the wet clothes, hung them up for a little bit, ate. After we ate, started drying clothes with a blow dryer. That was the best option we had. The other idea we had was iron the clothes dry. I don't know. Maybe that could have worked. I don't know if there would have been a burn stain on one of the shirts. Because when you iron, you're supposed to spritz the clothes to create some sort of steam to get it going. But we decided not to do that because neither of us have too much experience with an iron. I've used it a couple times with the supervision of my mom. I don't think I've ever used. I've used it by myself, but I was on the phone with my mom for how to do it. So I haven't used it by myself, just as blow dryer. Because we only had 2 days worth of clothes. I had the St. Louis Cardinals quarter zip. I couldn't put anything else on. It was also starting to get kind of cold there, which I did not pack the best for that. I saw the weather, thought I can survive with shorts and it's a long sleeve. Well, that didn't happen. I had to wear my wife's pants. Happens. They were joggers, sweatpants. You wouldn't even know looking at it that they weren't male pants. They fit just fine. They were same length, not crazy. So had to wear those. Well, didn't have to, decided to, for a couple reasons. They were dry. They were pants. I didn't pack any pants. I also didn't pack a rain jacket, which that might have been a good idea as well. The shoes were still kind of wet. Try to dry them out as best we could. But for the shoes, they might not be lasting too much longer. I think I have them over here next to me. But they're kind of rough shoes. Tried washing them before. I don't know what people's methods are for washing their shoes. Mine has mostly been getting a paper towel, rubbing that on. Some people throw them into the washer. I don't know how people think. I don't know how that's a good idea. Your shoes just get drenched. If there's any kind of glue holding things on, like the bottom part trim of these shoes is held on by glue, how are things just not ruined after being soaked in water like that? Then they throw them in the dryer. Then your dryer gets messed up. You gotta throw towels in there to make sure that the shoes don't mess up the inside drum of the dryer. How do people decide to do that? I did try. Sometimes I get a brush, but I messed up a pair of my shoes doing that. I did use soap one time to wash my shoes because, yeah, they were dirty. You use soap, you use water. Boom. Cleans them. I did that. Shoes looked fine. But then I went to a theme park. I think it was Universal or Islands of Adventure. Went to one of them. Then I realized I did not get all of the soap out of my shoes because they had the water ride, which I don't know why they just put in these random water rides at these places. If you're having roller coasters, I'm not dressed up to go on a water ride. The ones where you go, where it's the tube and it's like 8 people spread around, you're going to waterfalls, getting splashed by places. But then you also have a roller coaster that goes up in the air, one that drops you straight down. I'm not prepared for a water adventure. This is just out of place. Because I went there wearing khaki shorts, then I got water on me. It's like, okay, I'm not swimming in these clothes. Why is this ride here? When we went there, there was water being splashed around, and soap started coming out of my shoes. Then, slightly embarrassed by that. Thankfully, I didn't really know many people at the. I know any people at the water park besides the ones I went with, and the ones I went with kind of just laughed at it. So that happened before with soap and water. Didn't get all the soap out, and my shoes started having suds come out of them. Kind of embarrassing for that. The shoes were fine. Then we were getting ready to go to the game, whatever time, early afternoon, but the rain started getting worse and worse. See people outside running through the rain, everyone buying ponchos. Then we decided to just hang out at the hotel. Hotel lobby area is decent. They had coffee there, so you just hang out. Coffee, you could use the coffee cups to get your extra microplastics in, which I already had my microplastic serving because the plastic that the food was served in was that black plastic, so possibly made out of broken down electronics. So that was good. So I didn't need it out of the paper plastic lined cup. Instead, just use my water bottle, which metal water bottle I have. Hard to tell how high up it's filled. Had to use water again as my mixer. Didn't really want to use their creamer that they had, but just used that. Hung out at the hotel. Then I decided to follow for the first time the St. Louis Cardinals accounts. I followed the accounts on Twitter and Instagram. Instagram was worthless doing that because I was just trying to get updates. They were posting pictures from earlier in the morning that they did, other photo ops, other Clydesdales from earlier. So it was kind of not completely pointless, but not helpful because I was trying to get information on the rain delay. It was funny, I would go to their latest tweet. and sort by the most recent, the top number of them were: is there a rain delay? This weather looking like the Cardinals season? Relocate the stadium? Build a dome? Which I don't know if building a dome is as much a controversy in baseball as it is football. I haven't heard it as many times because baseball is usually usually it is in the summer, in the fall, kind of. So it kind of gets cold there. Maybe they want a dome there, but a bunch of people in the reply is asking for a dome, which makes sense because weather's not as big of a thing in baseball as it is football. Football, cold weather places, Buffalo, play in the snow. You gotta go through the winter elements, rain, play through that, change your game plan. Baseball, if they can't grip it good enough, then yeah, they're going to delay the game. They're going to cancel it to another day. Which that thought crossed my mind was, okay, they don't have a game tomorrow. They could just cancel it. The team's already here and then play those 3 days, but I wouldn't have tickets to the next day. And I was flying out the next day. But thankfully that didn't happen. But I did, so they kept the game the same day. They did delay it, but I missed the Clydesdales on the field. At this point, to see that, I want to see them. My wife didn't know why they were so cool. She thought there was horses. I said, these aren't just horses. These are big horses. So, pretty notable to see there. Missed them because they did these pregame activities. They had that an hour and a half before the game. I don't know how many people were at the stadium for that. If you just had regular seats in the stands, why would you get there? Why are you asking your fans to get there an hour and a half early? Because they got there early, saw the Clydesdales, then sat through the rain delay. And people in the reply said that as well. Why would you do the Clydesdales so early? Another reply: thankful that I got the all-inclusive because they were able to eat whatever during it, not too worried about it. Which, if I got the all-inclusive, I would probably want to get there as early as possible. Well, maybe. I would definitely want to get there earlier, maybe not as early as possible. But it was cool to see that. We got to the game, walked around Ballpark Village area, walked around the stores, a couple of stores, the restaurants they had there, food places, got some photo ops next to some, they're not monuments, just logos and things they had up, which other people are taking photo ops. So if other people are doing it, then I'm doing it because it must be a good place to have a picture taken. We walked through there, went to the game. Game was cool. Section 200, whatever, had first row of it. That was good. Easier to see the stadium for it. We learned a couple of new players. Learned who left fielder is. Newt Bar. I don't know what his first name. I forget what his first name is. I definitely made the joke about a Fig Newt Bar if his first name was Fig. But we saw there Cardinals thankfully won, beat the Twins. It came down to the ninth inning, so we saw the closer. We saw the walkout music, the pump up of it, sat by just random people, which the people next to us were playing one of the dumbest drinking games I have heard of. Well, not even heard of. Drinking games, period. It was four of them, definitely knew each other, almost certainly from St. Louis by the way they looked, smelled, Cardinals tattoos, teeth, from St. Louis. Illinois versus Missouri side, a little harder to tell. If I had to guess, St. Louis side, or Illinois side. But we did that. The game they were playing. The game they were playing was what's going to happen on this pitch. Just, that's it. There wasn't a number of drinks depending on what the thing was. People just guessed whatever. Which, doing that as a baseball game, yeah, there are a couple interesting things that happen, but a majority of the time, it's going to be a ball or it's going to be a strike. A majority of the time, it's going to be a strike. So this one of the people was just guessing ball or strike on every pitch. Other people were guessing like ground out, hit, double, single, triple, home run. And it didn't change. Because it would be a strike, and the lady who would guess hit would say, "Oh, I didn't say what pitch it would be, just that it would happen." If you're Then when the lady who called strike would get it right, obviously everyone else would drink. But it didn't make any sense. I don't know what the rules were. I don't know if they're doing this at every home game, but calling it out where it's just one drink per thing. If you guessed a hit, it's five. A home runs, you finish your beer. A triple's this. A double play is this. That would have been more interesting to do to play that. But sitting next to the guy, there was a time, which I gotta figure out how to explain this. Which this might be the best thing. If I was to repeat this story multiple times, it might get better. But I had to. Okay, so what happened? It was the first inning. The leadoff guy for the Cardinals got on. He got on the base. He stole second. Then the pitcher balked. What's a balk? What happened? I started explaining it to her. Then the guy on my left kind of looks over like he's going to say something. And I go, stop. This is my wife. I am the one in charge of mansplaining baseball to her. So whether it's incorrect or correct what I'm saying, doesn't matter. I'm in charge of mansplaining. You're not allowed to mansplain to her. If you try to mansplain to me, we're going to have an issue, buddy. So then I explained it to her. Which, also explaining the balk to anyone who doesn't watch baseball, almost impossible. Hard to explain. One of those things where you kind of, not even if you can't say you know it when you see it, because that's not the case either. So I tried explaining what a balk was. Not sure if I got any part of it right. Pretty much it came down to pitcher did something wrong, we get the base for free. That's basically it. But the game was fun. Nolan Arenado hit a home run. Cool to see. Didn't get any foul balls. I was slightly disappointed that the Cardinals didn't have anything specific or cool to their stadium. Because I was seeing things on Twitter about local things to stadiums. This place has, the White Sox have whatever food, whatever milkshake thing. The Giants have this popcorn bat. I forget what the other ones were, but people have specific things to their stadiums. The Cardinals was kind of just blah. A lot of the concession stands were the normal hot dog, brats, bacon wrapped hot dog, peanuts, nachos, baseball helmet nachos. It wasn't that interesting. Nothing where I thought to myself, I have to get this here. It's only here. It's an iconic thing to get. That didn't really happen there. It was a fun game. Then we left. Walked around Ballpark Village some more because it was still kind of laid out. When we walked in there, we noticed that there's a live there as well. There's a Texas Live here by the Ranger Stadium, and there's a live by St. Louis. Thought to myself, wow, this is a weird place to have a Texas Live in St. Louis. But realized it's a chain of places, which that was slightly disappointing to me. Where finding out that a place that seems like a local place where it's only this one location is a chain. It's kind of like figuring out that your friend you have at school has friends outside of school. Or someone you play on a sports team with is on a different sports team with other people. I think the first one fits better, where your friends in school have friends outside of school, like in their neighborhood. So you thought, oh, I thought we had this friendship here. It was just us. And when you go home, you just want to come to school the next day and continue this friendship. That's kind of what it felt like, seeing a chain somewhere else. And it was set up very similarly, like the offshoots of the bars and restaurants, the bunch of TVs in the middle of it, as you can clearly tell from this video. They have a band there. Now I think to myself, how many locations does this place have? How many friends does my friend have at school? Am I just where do I line up on that ranking list of friends? Is Texas Live the best one? Is it low on the list? I don't know now. I didn't know it was a thing other places. I thought it was only in Texas. It was cool to go to, seeing that. Didn't stick around too long. Then we went to our hotel, just hung out. At our hotel we missed, which I hadn't seen this at a hotel before. It was something that they called a kickback. It was where they served food from 5:30 to like 7. Initially, we thought we were going to make it back to the hotel by then because it was supposed to be an afternoon game, but I think it was hour plus rain delay, we missed it. And the kickback was kind of just an appetizer buffet where they serve different things. Which I would believe if people just had their entire dinner there. They had the option of people who aren't staying at the hotel to buy it for whatever amount. But it was cool to see that. Wish we would have gotten back for it, but it's okay. Then, yeah, checked out the amenities. Pool, not that great. Gym, not too much happening. A lot of ellipticals, treadmills, bikes, which that's about what I expected there. Okay, then the next day, I'm going to have to speed this up a little bit, but I'll hit on the high points. Next day, buffet, 7, count them, 7 hard-boiled eggs, which I definitely could have had more. But I thought to myself, in this economy, they're offering whole eggs. I'm going to eat those up. The other thing was, that was kind of the best protein source they had there. They had normal other things. Potatoes. Then they had biscuits and gravy, so dry flour with wet flour. They had other scrambled eggs. I wasn't in their kitchen, so I didn't know, but I kind of assumed those were the powdered eggs. I don't know how to taste the difference between them. Had a piece of cinnamon bread in the toaster. Someone put it on the bagel setting. No idea it was on there, so it's had one side of the bread toasted. They had used the peanut butters there, which I think is, if you're getting those like small packets of peanut butter, jelly, honey, you almost have to get Smucker's brand. They didn't. So when I opened it, the oil and the peanut butter were separated. I tried to stir it, didn't work. You almost have to get the Smucker's brand. Never had that issue with the Smucker's, no matter how long that I've had it for. No issues with them. Had some more coffee, used milk as a creamer this time. What else did they have? They had sausages, which those are okay for protein. Those are pretty high in fat, so didn't want to eat too many of those. Had banana. They weren't oranges, but they weren't clementines. I don't know what those are called. Tangerines. Very difficult to peel for those. But we didn't. That was it for the breakfast. Then we went to the Arch, which, man, this thing is something else. I forget, 360 feet by 630 feet. I don't know if it's feet or meters, yards, whichever one. I think it's feet. But it was 630 by 630, so it's as wide as it is tall. At first we didn't have, so we walked around there a little bit, went down to the Mississippi. Still dirty, still didn't really want to go in it. Thought it would be very difficult to swim across there. I don't know how people would do that. It was dirty. Wouldn't want to open my eyes underneath there. Very choppy. Saw the casino across the way. Not sure if sports gambling's legal in Missouri. Definitely is in Illinois. Because by the Cardinals stadium, I didn't see any sports books or places to bet in there. So I assume they didn't. They were sponsored by FanDuel, but didn't have any sports books to bet in, which I assume if it was, they would put one right there. For the Arch, we didn't have tickets to go up to the top. You had to buy those day of. So we waited in line for a little bit. Line was long-ish, and we didn't know if they would be sold out in time. But I heard some other lady, which just for the story, I'm going to call her Karen. Just kidding, she wasn't Karen. She was very helpful. But she said online to one of her friends, okay, let's get out of the line. They're like, why? She's like, I just bought them online. So I went through, did that, bought them online, tried to spread the word to other people of, hey, you don't have to stay in this line. You can just buy it online. But unfortunately, the lady I was talking to was 70, 80 years old and said she didn't know how to do that. I didn't want to walk through how to do that, so I just left the line. Then we walked around the museum. It was pretty cool. It's a pretty cool engineering feat just to be able to do that. Spend all this money and for whatever to build half a McDonald's arch. It'd be pretty cool if McDonald's bought it. If it was if they call it the Arch, sponsored by McDonald's, or the McDonald's Arch, and they just built a second one next to it, or if they bought land in Illinois and had it line up where the one arch would end and then another arch would go, and from the right angle it would just look like the McDonald's Golden Arches. When we went up to the arch, took the ride, took the tram, it was just me and my wife. In this one they had like 8 where you can fit about 5 people, but it wasn't sold out, so it was just 2 of us, which I started realizing beforehand, remembering that I have a fear of heights, which I kind of forgot. I told one of my brothers, hey, I remember I have this fear of height. He goes, yeah, we know you do. You have issues going over bridges. Correct. Oh well. But went up to the tram. It wasn't that scary riding the tram. Maybe because I turned the camera on and when the lights shine the brightest, I'm cool, calm, and collected. But went up the tram, but you couldn't see out of how high up you were going as you went. It was all enclosed. You'd see stairs, some steel cables, so you couldn't see how high up you were going. Then you get to the top, and they have just small little plastic windows that you can look out of, see the area. There's really nothing to see outside of the arch. No view of different landmark areas. You kind of just see it from the top. Very similar to when I went up into the Washington Monument, which the Washington Monument, not as high as the arch. I realized that one's only 555 and sinking. Issue, they need to fix that, which this was a similar thing of you see these little areas, but in the Washington Monument, there's other things to see. The U.S. Capitol, the White House, the Lincoln Memorial, the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial. You could see those from the top of it. The top of the arch, you couldn't. And when you got out, at least, yeah, a number of people were walking lower to the ground, kind of scared to stand all the way up. Because, yeah, it's a scary place. You don't feel that you're that high. You don't feel it swaying back and forth. You just, you just kind of know it mentally. Did that, then we did, just trying to remember if there's anything significant. Kids, not scared at all. They were jumping up and down. They were climbing up higher. I was about to start parenting them and say, stop doing this. This is very high up, very delicate place. Don't do that. Because I was kind of freaking out. Then we went down, not too crazy. Have some funny videos of me and my wife inside the tram. I don't think she'll let me post them on here, but they're very funny. Doing that. Then what did we do after that? Then we went on a steamboat ride. Wouldn't do that again. Very boring. You went on the thing. They didn't have like any good food. They had popcorn, the basics, stuff like that. Popcorn, I'm pretty sure, was burnt. The captain of it, one of the least energized people that I saw, might be because of low T, is, man, the only information this guy had was on the bridges. A couple of the buildings, some old electrical places, not that interesting. He said, this was made in this time for the World's Fair. Now it's rarely used. And for the bridges, it was the same thing every time. It was when it was constructed, how it got its name, what it's used for today. This bridge was built in this year. The Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge There was controversy over the name from Illinois and Missouri. Then they came to an agreement to name it this. So low toned. Not very interesting. Wouldn't recommend doing that. Again, kids on there, no life jackets weren't handed out. I had to snoop around to find where jackets were. Because if I go in the Mississippi, it will be tough to get out from there. But then we went to Union Station. Union Station looked like it was just kind of a place for parents to bring their kids. Kind of a mini fair kind of place. They had mini golf, a couple playground, a couple places to eat, seafood place. We went to a soda fountain, got some ice cream, which I think we got the wrong ice cream flavor. I can't tell. I should know, but an ice cream expert like myself, I was not able to tell. Because we ordered gooey butter cake, but I think we got pineapple. It was kind of surprising because there were pieces of things that had the consistency of like gooey butter cake, but it also kind of it definitely tasted like pineapple. So I think we got the wrong thing for that, which that was just like a basic American place for it. We didn't get any food there because it didn't look that good for it. We got there, then we just walked around. Then we were a walking advertisement. Everyone was asking where we got that ice cream from. We went there. What other place did they have? They had a hotel there. There's an aquarium, a ropes course. It was kind of like more of a... I don't think like adults would just go there if they didn't have kids. They had a big Ferris wheel. It wasn't that interesting to see, so I probably wouldn't do that area again. Maybe the aquarium would be cool to see for it. But we did that. Then we took the metro to the airport. Took, however, 30 minutes. Figured out how to buy the tickets for that. Tickets pretty cheap, which I don't know if it's the safest place. Hear some bad stories coming from St. Louis. Not the nicest of places. And besides the Arch, in the Cardinals, they had the Blues, so we saw where the Blues played. They were out of town this weekend, so it's not that. It's a decent place. I would go back again to watch a Cardinals game, but that's about it. I don't think there's anything else I would go back to see. Maybe if a band I like is playing there, I'd feel comfortable, safe enough going there, know the area enough to go back there. We got to the airport, which I should have said something, but I did not. I should have apologized to the woman that was sitting next to me on the airport. I was smelling very ripe on there. I put deodorant on. Not sure if it took. Not sure if it was too long of a day, but I really didn't have too much of an option. After we checked out of our hotel room, didn't really have any place to clean up at. So I was smelling a little ripe. Tried to keep my arms down. Didn't want to put my jacket back on because then I just would have been sweating more and I probably would have sweat through that. St. Louis Airport, not much happening there. Very quick to go through. The desks for the airlines, mostly empty. So it was a pretty relaxed looking place. But yeah, the lady, I'm sorry for doing that. I watched an hour of Moana 2. Now I have to figure out how I'm going to watch the other half of it. I could pay the $20 and get it through Amazon, or I could just book another flight and watch it while I'm flying out somewhere. Don't know when that might be, but I gotta keep that in my mind. I watched an hour of it and not get any spoilers from it. I'm not gonna say I think I know what happened, but Moana does something, saves the day. Her and her group of people, her crew, go through some adversity. They have fights. They don't get along with each other, but at the end they're going to come together because they all have these skills that they need each other. That's it. Which I don't feel like, man, I don't know if being in the back of the plane, again, being group 9, obviously we're not in the front. We were in the back by the bathrooms. I don't know if back there you feel more wiggle than if you're in the front. I think you probably do, because I think if you're in line with the wings, you're probably not feeling too much side to side. It might be, I think it's as you go farther out from there, there's more wiggle to it. Being an engineer, maybe I should know that, but it doesn't make too much difference because there's not much I could do about it. I could have seat closer to the front, make myself feel better, but that's not the case now. But it was a decent flight. Maybe in the future I should just fall asleep. Not a good flyer. Stressed out, littlest thing, but went through that already. Okay, I think that's the end of the St. Louis trip. I would recommend going there. The barbecue is fine. The brisket is a lot leaner than I've had before in Texas. Not sure if that was their goal. Overall, fun place to go to. Cardinals, great team. Not sure if I'll go out again this year, maybe next year, but it's fun to go to that game. The area they have next to it, probably similar to what other stadiums have, similar to what the Rangers have, obviously, with the Texas Live and the St. Louis Live. When it's not game day in the off season, probably a lot less lively, not as much going on. When the Blues are good, maybe that area gets going as well. But thanks for listening to my podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, turn on your notifications, follow, all that stuff, and we'll get this going. Thanks. Bye.